Hello, welcome back to Season 2 of Buckaroo Bistro, Episode 1 of the 2016-2017. And as you can see, we have a new chef, Chef JW.
Hello.
As you can see, Chef Marlene is not with us. She has graduated and moved on to greater heights. As you can see, we have an Italian theme. We will be having a 4-course meal.
I will be making a cheesy garlic bread and an Italian ratatouille.
And I will be making a spaghetti and a chocolate-filled biscotti.
I will be making a Parmesan garlic bread. I'll be using garlic powder, parsley flakes, butter, shredded Parmesan, a third of a cup, and then a loaf of bread. My first step is to cut it in half vertically. Now you're going to want to cut 1-inch slices without cutting through the bottom of the bread. I'm going to melt a half a cup butter on the stove and then I will pour it on the bread. Now you're going to want to move your melted butter into a small bowl. Now you're going to want to pour your cheese into your butter. And then you'll want 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And now you will need a teaspoon of parsley. Now you're going to want to stir your ingredients up. Before pasting your mixture onto your bread, you're going to want to put on some aluminum foil. Now you're going to want to take your butter knife and try to get your mixture somewhat into the cuts, but mostly around all of the bread. Now you're going to want to kind of cover it up, but leave the top partially uncovered. Now you're going to want to move it into the oven that has already been preheated to 375. Okay, now it's time to get the garlic bread out. I'm going to pull the foil off and looks great. I am Chef JW and I will be cooking the Italian ratatouille. It consists of 2 large carrots, 2 squash, a zucchini, a pound of red potatoes, 2 garlic cloves, 8 ounces of white mushrooms, Italian seasoning, olive oil, pepper, and salt. I'm going to cut the ends of the carrots off, and then I'm going to go peel them. Now I will be cutting the carrots into 2-inch diagonal pieces, about right here. Good. My ends are kind of thick here, so I'm just going to slice them in half. I'm going to wash off my potatoes real quick. I'm going to cut these in half one time right now. And then cut them again. Flip it over and cut them in half one more time. And you can peel them if you'd want, but I chose not to. And now with the squash, you're going to want to wash it. And then you're going to want to come over here to your cutting board and cut the ends off of them. Now you'll want to cut them into 2-inch pieces also. And then, since these are pretty thick squash, you're going to want to cut them in half again. And now you're going to want to cut the ends off your zucchini like you did for your squash. And you'll want to cut these into 1-inch pieces. And now, since these are really big zucchinis also, you want to cut these in half also. And now with your white mushrooms, you're going to want to wash these too, because sometimes they tend to get a little dirty. For these mushrooms, you're going to want to cut them in half, coming from the stem down. And then you'll want to cut them in half one more time right here. I'm gonna get these little garlic cloves that I have and put them under the knife and press down. I'm gonna put a 1/4 cup of olive oil in it. And then I'm just going to eyeball it. I'll need salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning. Now you're going to want to toss it until it's very well mixed. Now you're going to want to pour your vegetables into a Pyrex bowl. Now you're going to want to move it into a preheated oven that's been preheated at 425. You'll want to cook that for 30 to 40 minutes or until golden crisp.
I will be making spaghetti, and the spaghetti comes from my genuine Italian friend, so you know it's authentic. And for this recipe, you are going to need 1.5 pounds of hamburger meat, 4 cans of tomato paste, a small onion, 2 garlic cloves, and some seasoning. Right here I have oregano and parsley flakes, but you're also going to need some salt and pepper, and of course the spaghetti itself. You're going to want to start off by chopping up your onion. That should be good. And now you're gonna just want to mince your 2 cloves of garlic. Now I'm going to transfer my garlic and my onion into my pan so I can brown it for a little bit. You're going to want to put some olive oil in your pan. Now you're going to want to stir constantly until it is browned. Now you're going to want to add 1.5 pounds of hamburger meat after your onions and garlic have been browned. The meat is just about browned, so we're gonna add in the 4 cans of tomato paste. Now you're going to want to add a can of water per each can, so that'll total to about 4. Okay, now we're going to add our seasonings. This consists of salt, pepper, oregano, and parsley, and just eyeball it. Now I have my seasoning in here, and now what you're going to want to do is just let it thicken up, and the grease will sort of come up as it thickens. So what you just want to do is you just want to get a spoon and just spoon it out, just toss it away, and then after that you're just going to let it simmer for 3 to 4 hours. And now you're just going to put the lid on, that way it doesn't explode like the popcorn. Now for your spaghetti, just get, your standard box and for your standard time. I mean, nothing hard about that. Now I will show you how to make the chocolate-filled biscotti. Now, as you will probably notice, the measurements may seem a bit off, but that's just because I had to make half of it yesterday due to film inconvenience and half of it today. So I will be saying the full measurements, but you will only see me doing half, so don't get confused on that. Now, for the biscotti, you're going to start out with the cream cheese dough, and for that you are going to want to measure 4 cups of all-purpose flour into your bowl. Now you're going to want to add a teaspoon of baking powder and salt. Now that I've got my flour mixture ready, I'm going to start with the not so solid ingredients. Now you're going to need a cup of butter and 6 ounces of cream cheese, and you're just going to put that in here. Now you're going to want to mix your butter and your cream cheese on medium speed until it's just full blended. Now you're going to want to gradually add a cup of brown sugar and regular sugar. Now you're going to want to beat your cream cheese and your sugar for about 3 minutes or until it just looks nice and fluffy. Now you're going to want to add 2 eggs, one at a time, into your mixture. Now you're going to want to add a tablespoon of vanilla into your batter. Now before you add the flour, it makes it a lot easier if you change from the whisk to the dough paddle. Now you're going to want to gradually add your flour mixture into this. And I'm going to use about 1/4 of a cup just so help measure it out. Okay, now that your dough is done, what you're going to do is you're going to take the dough into about 3/4 of a cup, ball about this big, and then you place it in cling wrap, and then you're going to want to put that in the refrigerator overnight to chill. Now that you've got your dough into balls and saran wrap. You're going to want to put that in the fridge to chill overnight. Now for the filling of the biscotti, all you're going to need is a cup of semi-sweet or bittersweet chocolate chips, a can of condensed milk, and a cup of chopped walnuts. Now in a saucepan of about medium heat, you're going to want to take a cup of chocolate chips and put them in there. Also, your can of sweetened condensed milk. Now you're just going to stir this constantly until it looks about just right. Okay, now this looks just about right, so now you're going to want to add your cup of chopped walnuts. And you're just going to want to stir that in there, and when it's well blended, you're just going to want to take it off the heat and let it rest. We're letting the chocolate cool, and while we're doing that, we're going to get a lightly floured surface along with some parchment paper, because we are ready to roll out our refrigerated overnight cream cheese dough for our biscotti. Now, to make it easier to roll, you're just kind of going to want to squish it down a little bit, like you're giving it CPR, and that helps. Now it's going to want to be about 10 by 6 inches. That's how it should be, but you know, sizes vary. Now, when you're doing this, keep this in mind that you want the edges to be a little bit thinner than the actual center, because when you fold it over, it's going to overlap. So these, try to make these a little bit thinner and as clean as possible. So this looks just about right. So what you're going to do is you're going to add 1/4 cup of your chocolate filling and spread it evenly in the middle. Just kind of smooth it out as evenly as you can. But be aware, try not to press too hard, because the crushed walnuts, they may embed the other side. So try to be as gentle as possible when you're doing this. Now this looks about just right. So you're going to want to use the parchment paper to sort of fold it over a little. And it should overlap in the middle just a little bit. That's why I said you kind of want to do it a little thin. So it's supposed to look something like this. Okay, now you're going to want a cookie sheet, and you're just going to want to spray it with Pam. And then you're going to want to put 2 at a time of your biscotti, fold side down. Now that you've got just about 2 done, or 3 if you can fit it, you're going to want to put this in the oven at about 325, 350 for about 10 minutes, or just until it looks golden brown. The biscotti has been in here for about 20 minutes at 325, so it's about a nice golden brown. Now this is the biscotti. It's cut kind of like this, and that's what it should turn out, and these are best served with coffee. You just sort of dip it in and drink it with your coffee.